And welcome back to Big Apple Hockey. Doing double duty today. We had our weekly show earlier on at about 5:30, and now we're going to do a late night final buzzer. You know me. I'm your host for tonight, Philk, John Fulkowski, whatever you want to call me. Doesn't really matter. Follow me on Twitter at 92in82. Figured I would do a little post game show here. Just kind of do a quick one. But I'm not going to go really formal with this. I didn't really make any banners or anything like that. I was at a friend's house watching the game and just wanted to make sure that I had one in for Thanksgiving, and just kind of say something that we should have said earlier on. But we are thankful for all the viewers that we have that tune into us every week for our shows, and the ones that tune into us late night here for these as well. So thank you all for being faithful. We have a lot of regulars that have been with us since practically day one. So thank you all for continuing to tune into us, and we try to give you the best coverage that we can and the best content and something original and fun and interactive, so that this way, you guys are entertained, and girls as well. Don't want to forget about our female viewers, but just thankful for that. This has been a fun 2 years so far. Going on 3 years. It'll be 3 years in January. It'll be 3 years. Crazy to think about. I don't know where this time went, but it's flown by. It's definitely flown by, and it's been fun. Always entertained when Anthony isn't shirtless. Oh man, amazing. So, but yes, thank you, Matt. We appreciate that. We appreciate all the kind words that we've gotten from everyone over the years, and thank you. Like I said, thank you all for just continuing with us, and we're continuing to grow, and we love doing this. It's fun. It's something that turned into something small, and it continues to grow, and it's fun. So happy Thanksgiving. We're thankful for all of you. Thankful for hockey. But in regards to the game tonight, I am very thankful for two things. Very thankful for Jonathan Quick, and I'm very thankful for Benoit Allaire. And I'm convinced that Benoit Allaire is God. Just going to say that. Can we trade someone enjoyable for Mark? Oh my God. When's my birthday, Scott? The 30th, next week. So, but yeah, I wouldn't want to trade Mark. Anthony, we have way too much fun just ripping on Mark when Mark messes up and stuff like that. And thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. Benny is definitely the goalie whisperer. I don't need any more. There's no argument. Mitch Korn is great. Mitch Korn's had a pretty good laundry list of goalies himself, including Dominic Hasek, Pecorini, and Brandon Holtby in his time that he's worked with. Also Ilya Sorokin. So, but yeah, Mitch Korn is really good, but Benny Allaire's God. Benny Allaire has taken goalies off the scrap heap and turned them into respectable goaltenders again. And not that Jonathan Quick, we never doubted the talent. We just doubted the age with him. And that was one of my biggest concerns, is that he was cooked and then he was done. He just did not look good last year. But he just comes to New York. He works with Benoit Allaire, and then all of a sudden he's just wow. Just great, absolutely great. He's been better than Shesterkin. I never thought I could actually say that, but he's been better than Igor. No arguments. How can you argue it? He's got 2 shutouts already. I mean, it's just the way he's played so far. He has been better than Shesterkin. And Igor has been good for the most part, but he's nowhere close to the Igor that we knew in 21-22. Just it's not there right now. Something's up in his head. I don't think it's just the rust from being out. His rebound control needs some serious work. And I think part of what's happening is he just gets rattled sometimes. It's all in his head. I mean, and that's the crazy thing. We were so spoiled with Henrik Lundqvist because that man literally had ice water in his veins. And it took a lot for Henrik Lundqvist to get rattled. You saw it very rarely, but it took a lot to get to that point. But if Henrik Lundqvist had a bad game, he came back and he made sure that he won that next one because there is no way that he was having two bad games in a row. And it just wasn't like Henrik Lundqvist. It just didn't happen in his career. So I think we were spoiled kind of like how Yankee fans are spoiled with Mariano Rivera as closer for a better part of 2 decades. So, but yeah, or 3 decades, I should say, that he played in 90s, 2000s, 2010s. But I'm loving what Jonathan Quick's doing right now. I really am. It looks like he's turned back the clock. It's father time that he's beating. And I know he's at that age where he's coming up to that point where you might see the fall off, but it's not there yet. It's not there yet. So let's just take what we have from Jonathan Quick while we have the good year left in Jonathan Quick and make sure that we get the best out of him. As long as the load can be managed, I think Quick can be really good for the rest of the year. It doesn't look like he's going away. I can tell you that. But I would say structure was the key word there. The Rangers bent a lot but didn't break in this game. It felt like a prime era Lundqvist game from like 2011 or 2010 where they get a goal, they get ahead, and then they clamp onto that lead, and the goaltender gets peppered but saves it. I think this is a really, really ugly win. But you got to find ways to win those games. And the Rangers are still continuing to do it. Still no Fox. Still no Hedl. Igor is not at 100% right now. He's clearly something's wrong with him. And Jonathan Quick comes in and shuts out the Penguins. So, but yeah, Scott, a lot of guys on this team are blocking shots. Players are buying in. Barclay Goodrow and Nick Bonino obviously are just shot blocking machines. Jacob Trouba's a shot blocking machine. But you're getting guys like Mika Zibanejad, Vincent Trocheck to block shots, and that's big. When you get all types of players on the team to buy into that type of mentality, that's the type of mentality that makes winners. I would agree with this, Matt. The first 2 periods are very sloppy in the defensive zone. I think the third period was a little more controlled. They kept the puck to the outside. The Penguins had the puck a lot. I think if you looked at the possession time in the game, I think it's probably somewhere in the range of like 70-30 Penguins. Yeah, and David, I think you may be right about this. I think there might be too many cooks in the kitchen in Pittsburgh. And yeah, Crosby's putting up a ton of points. Carlson was a point per game and before tonight at 17 points in 17 games. Malkin is about a point per game, and Rust is one of the even strength leaders in points in the NHL. But there's only one puck that can go around. How many guys can have that puck at one time? I mean, I will gladly take these kind words, Scott. I will gladly take those. And I know Mark will he's at work right now, but so he'll probably watch this at another point, and he'll probably just laugh at that. That's enough for me. That's good enough for me. So, but I really think that Pittsburgh, it's kind of like the 2004 Colorado Avalanche, 2003-2004 Colorado Avalanche. They bring in Paul Kariya and Teemu Selanne for nothing. And there's just one puck to go around, and your top six is Sakic, Tanguay, Hayduk, and Forsberg, Kariya, and Selanne. Like, what do you do with that puck? It's a little different from basketball where one guy has the ball and that's it. And you play iso ball sometimes where it's Carmelo Anthony isolation. But I will say that Pittsburgh, it's not just too many cooks in the kitchen. It's too many players that play that same type of style. And Pittsburgh's bottom six has improved, which I said that straight up. I mean, you go and you add players like Riley Smith and Lars Eller and so on, and you're bolstering the depth on your team. They did a real good job to add to their bottom six, but they did not fix their defense. They downgraded, in my opinion, from Dumoulin to Graves. I mean, Graves is a decent third pairing defenseman. If you're asking him to play third pairing minutes and he's got a guy that can move the puck out of the zone efficiently, then he's real good in that role. But they're asking him to play over his head right now. And Pettersson's solid. Yeah, I like Achari and Nieto. I like those signings. I wanted Nieto. Achari's a good player. Nieto's speed would have helped the Rangers, and he could kill penalties as well. And yeah, they definitely missed Dumoulin. That's a big loss for them. And I know Penguins fans will turn around and say, "Oh, well, he was washed up. He was on the downside of his career." Ryan Graves is not an upgrade over him. Don't care what anybody says. He's not an upgrade over him. Yeah, Scott, I would agree. They need an upgrade over Wheeler. Big time. Blake Wheeler can't skate. Blake Wheeler cannot skate. Achari would have been a good signing for the Rangers. You would have to move Gaudreau to make that happen, but I would take Achari over Gaudreau. That's just me. And this is one of those games where it's ugly, but you take the 2 points and you go to the next game. And you look at it in a glass half full manner and you say, they found another way to win. Simply what it comes down to. Yeah, and the Marino trade hurts Pittsburgh more than anything. Because Ty Smith is just, he's not even an NHL defenseman anymore. And Marino is solid and playing in Jersey. Although Marino's not playing as well as he did last year for them, but Marino is still a much better defenseman than the defenseman that Pittsburgh got in return. I don't know. Just bad front office decisions by two different regimes in Pittsburgh between Rutherford and Dubas. So, yeah, Jari, I'll give it to him. Jari was very good. He was. And the Rangers probably could have had 3 or 4 more goals if Jari wasn't as good as he was. And yeah, I get what you're trying to say, David, with steal a loss. But Jari kept them in that game. Like, the Rangers were like one and done, but they got some real good chances on those one and dones. Real good chances. Kreider had a chance that he should have scored on. Lafreniere should have had a hat trick tonight. Should have had a hat trick. Jari made 2 other really good saves. I will say this. Jari, for as much as he's been the scapegoat in Pittsburgh, he played a hell of a game tonight. And good on Jari. I mean, he gave the Rangers fits, but that's another thing. Oh, and yeah, and the Penguins don't have Zucker either. That's that's somebody that they lost. Why is Kakko struggling, Jay Lewis? I don't know, but the speed is just bad. He looks really, really slow. Mika, this is a prolonged slump. Usually Mika's a little bit of a slow starter, but this is definitely concerning. He had an assist tonight, so. Rangers got goalied and still won. Yeah. I don't know about that necessarily. I think Pittsburgh outplayed them for a good portion of the game. But Jari did make the saves that he needed to make when the Rangers got their chances, and they got some good ones at times. Mika had a very good game tonight. He didn't score at 5-on-5, but he set up Laffy's goal and was 2. You know what? I thought this was a better game from him, so I will agree with you there, but it is a bit of a slow start. So hopefully this is a good game. Does anyone think Igor is still hurt, hence why he struggled? It's actually a very good question / concern to have, but I don't think it is. I think it's more up here with Igor than it is physical. So Scott saying I would move Kako and Wheeler for a solid center, bring up Hoffman. Unfortunately, I think Heedle's having the same. I hope to God you're wrong about that, the sour ending for Heedle, because that would be awful. I don't think Hoffman's ready. He just had his first goal on Hartford ice tonight, home ice for Hartford, which is his third goal of the year. I don't think he's ready yet. I don't think we're going to see Hoffman anytime soon. Igor wouldn't have played if he was hurt. Yeah, I agree. Thought Kako had a decent game tonight. He needs to shoot. Loff isn't really any better. It just seems to be. I disagree with you on Lafreniere. I don't see it. Do I think Edstrom gets called up? No, I don't think Edstrom or Berard get called up, Jay. I really don't. It's important to get these points before the All-Star break, so when the slump happens. Yeah, I hope you're wrong about that. I really hope you're wrong about a post-All-Star game slump. So, this was a game where a lot of things could have went wrong, but Zibanejad blocks what was a clear goal. He makes a save for Quick, which is great. And then Jonathan Quick basically steals the show after Alexi Lafreniere's breakaway goal, which was great. But Jacob Trouba has been a rock for them all year. Keandre Miller needs to be a lot better. I think he needs to be a lot better. He's starting to play. He's starting to trend in that downward direction. These last few games have not been good for him. I want to see more from him. I know he's capable of a hell of a lot more than what he's giving right now. I can't wait for Adam Fox to get back and see Eric Gustafsson go back down to the bottom pairing, because Gustafsson did not have a great defensive game tonight. He didn't. So, Scott fearing about Heedle, yeah, I get it. I get it. I really do. You know, especially as someone who watched Eric Lindros as a Ranger, I definitely understand where the fear comes from with the concussions. And we've seen this before with not just Sauer, but with Lindros. Lindros had a great 2001-2002 season. It was a point per game, 36 goals, I believe, or 37 goals. Fly line was great before Theo Fleury went into rehab. And then Lindros ended up playing with Bure and Raczynski down the stretch. That line was really good as well. York was traded for Pody to Edmonton. But Lindros, after the concussion from Mark Smith in San Jose in December 2001, he was not the same the rest of the year. Like, he started off real hot. He was dominant, like the first, I would say, 2 months of the season. And then after that concussion, he played well, but he wasn't as good as he was before that. And it wasn't a big concussion either. I think he only missed a couple of games, but this was a to get off of Lindros, but I understand the concern, and I get it. I'm with you. I really am. Matt saying Keandre is 50-50 tonight. He needs to be consistent. There are times where he plays well, and then there are times where he's just turning the puck over, making bad pass after bad pass. Anyone think? Yeah, I think the Rangers will add a seventh defenseman. I don't think Jones is going to be the seventh defenseman come playoff time. I don't think they trust him, and I don't blame them one bit. I think he's too small, too soft, and I don't think he's good enough in his own zone. I really don't. And yeah, Miller needs to be a lot better. He definitely does. Yeah, that was the sad part because Miller played pretty poorly for like the middle part of last season. Like his end of the 21-22 season was really good, and his playoffs were really good. And then the start of the 2022-23 season, he was good. And Trouba was really horrible because he was hurt. But then as the season went along, he started playing worse. And then towards the end of the season, he started playing a little better. He needs to be consistent. Even if he's not going to be a 40 to 50 point defenseman, just be a 30-point defenseman, but be consistent at both ends. I don't think Mark Stahl's really a fit. I think he's too slow. He really doesn't look good. Dan Blackburn's injury wasn't a concussion, though. That was a workout-related injury. It was a torn labrum, I think it was. He messed up his shoulder and damaged nerves in his shoulder real bad from a weightlifting accident. But yeah, Richter and LaFontaine were concussion issues. LaFontaine collided with his own teammate in practice, Mike Keane. And then Mike Richter was one part of the reason why the 01-02 Rangers didn't make the playoffs was he took that Chris Tamer slap shot to the side of the head. The helmet wasn't really protective enough. And he took a slap shot to the side of the head from Chris Tamer in Atlanta. And he missed the rest of the season. And that was in late February, I believe that was. And then the next season, 02-03, it was in November of 02, I believe it was, that he took the Todd Marchant, former Ranger property, funny enough, traded for Craig McTavish, went through the crease and his knee collided with Richter's head. Well, if Hugh Jessamine was the biggest bust ever, yes. Let's not bring that name up here. That name gives me PTSD. So I can go on and on about that 03 draft. Yes, the Pavel Bure, Eric Lindros, glory days, if you will. The dark days. Yeah. The dark days were my teenage years. And no, Dylan McElrath was not a bigger Ranger bust than Hugh Jessamine was. That 03 draft is widely considered to be one of the best. That first round is considered to be the best first round of all time. And they absolutely missed on everyone. The best player the Rangers ended up drafting was Nigel Dawes in the later rounds. That's it. That's it. And the Rangers ended up getting a player from that 03 draft in Brian Boyle, but not by drafting him. I don't remember any rumor of a trade between the Rangers and the Blues for Roman Turek. The only thing that I remember that almost happened, I remember a few trades that almost happened that didn't end up going. Bergeron went 45th in 2003. Pavelski went in the 7th round that year. Shea Weber went in the 2nd round that year. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, the one trade that almost happened, and Wayne Gretzky himself actually commented on this. Pavel Bure to the Rangers in 1999. And Wayne Gretzky himself said that if the Rangers would have acquired Bure that year, that he would have called off his retirement and he would have played more time with the Rangers. So that was one. The infamous Steven Stamkos deal to the Rangers that almost happened and never did. Orrin Coles and Len Barry, 2 Tampa Bay owners, were at a difference of opinions regarding Steven Stamkos in his rookie year. And Steven Stamkos was almost traded to the Rangers for a package that included Michael Del Zotto and I think 2 other assets. And I can't remember what the other 2 assets were. But, yeah, that almost happened. Glenn Sather and I think Len Barry had a handshake agreement on that deal. And it was called off. I'm not going to talk about Sakic because that was an offer sheet. That's not really one. I know at the 01 deadline, the Rangers were in on Keith Tkachuk and Nikolai Khabibulin before Tkachuk was traded out of Arizona. That didn't happen. The Rangers almost, and I can say this because I have inside information on this one, and I can't say who it's from, but I knew people that worked within the organization at the time. The Rangers almost pulled off a deal at the 03 draft for Jerome McGinley. And it would have included, I believe, Dan Blackburn at that time, Jamie Lundmark, 1st-round pick, and several other assets that would have went to Calgary for Jerome McGinley. And that one was pretty interesting. That almost happened. The almost for Jágr was the same exact deal for Lindros that ended up going to Philly. So the same exact package, the 3rd-round pick, Hlavich, Brendel, Janssen, and the 3rd-round pick to Philadelphia. That was the deal for Jágr. And Glenn Sather kind of fell asleep at the wheel on that one, from what I've heard. So, yeah. They would have had Jaromir Jágr they would have had Jaromir Jágr in the 2001-2002 season. So maybe that would have changed things up. You would have gotten a couple more years of Jaromir Jágr. Could you imagine them having a couple more years of Jaromir Jágr and he has like another couple 100-point seasons with the Rangers? Could they? I mean, maybe they're possibly talking about retiring Jaromir Jágr's number right now, if that doesn't happen, or if that happens. So, who knows? But the Zubov and Nedved trade was just horrible, horrible. This was 22 years ago, so. But I'll go for a few more minutes. This one was always going to be a short one. So just put in some comments, questions, whatever you want to talk about. I'll go for like another 5 minutes or so. It's starting to get a little late. Got a long day ahead of me tomorrow. Yeah, he was even old then. But yeah, I'm happy to shut out Pittsburgh. Always happy to beat Pittsburgh. Happy that it just shut out. Happy that Crosby doesn't get a point. And very happy that the Rangers get the win in the standings. And then New Jersey loses on top of that tonight, which is great. Gotta love having New Jersey lose. So now the standings look like 27 points for the Rangers. Washington has a game in hand, but they're 5 points back. The Rangers have a game in hand on Carolina, who won tonight, beating Edmonton, and they're still 5 points ahead of Carolina. Philadelphia, I believe, lost to the Islanders tonight. Yeah, they lost in regulation. 2-3 final. And obviously, the Rangers stifle Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh is 6th in the division with 18 points. And then New Jersey still at 17 points. So this is a good question here. I think it's Fox and Kreider. Panarin, it looks like if he continues to score the way that he's at, I really do think that they're going to see his jersey retired at some point. I mean, 26 points in 16 games entering tonight, but as a Ranger so far, 367 points in 287 games entering tonight. He's had 3 90-point seasons with this team. And if not for the COVID stoppage in 2020, he would have scored the extra 5 points and he would have been the most recent player to score 100 for this team. And he missed 8 games in 22 and had 96 points. He would have probably scored 100 points that year. So he's on pace to do it this year as well. Let's see. There was another comment I wanted to highlight. This one here from David. What are some of the Metro's opponents' deficiencies that will prevent them from coming back on the Rangers? I'm guessing you're talking about in the standings, David. The Devils are not great defensively, nor do they have great goaltending. And their coach likes to play run and gun hockey. Their coach likes to drive the pace, up tempo, go. And that'll hurt them. Pittsburgh, same thing. Not great defensively. Goaltending is not great. And they have an aging core as well. Washington, not great defense. Not great goaltending. Aging core. Philadelphia, young, inexperienced, lack top-end talent. Islanders, lack top-end talent. Coaching is not good at all. And they're not getting the production they need from Ilya Sorokin, Anders Lee, and some others. So the Zach Benson goal, just incredible. Through the legs, awesome goal. Awesome goal. Carolina, Connor in Carolina, tongue twisting myself there. And yeah, he looks just absolutely frustrated. He looks frustrated. He looks like he's over it. Can't say I blame him. I really can't. Like, you pour your heart and soul into every game, and it's just one thing after another with this team. And they brought in Chris Knobloch to kind of like appease him. And I don't think there's anything that they could have done. So, basically what I said. I'm not even going to mention Columbus because Columbus is not even close. The Hurricanes, with the Hurricanes, I think the goaltending is the biggest thing. Their defensive unit is good. They have a lot of depth. but they lack goaltending. They really do lack goaltending, and that's what will kill them in the playoffs yet again. So, but I am going to I'm going to sign off. I'm going to go and hit the hay, and thank you again for joining me on this. Yes, Ken Holland should be fired, and I'm not sure, Jay, but this keeps up, it won't go well for Edmonton, I'll tell you that. But I'm going to sign off, and I will see you all next week. Thank you all for joining me. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. Be safe. Eat a lot of food. Watch some football, and we have hockey to watch Friday and Saturday. So just be very happy about that as well. Hopefully the Rangers win both those games on Friday and Saturday. And, the Bruins are going to be a test. And the Flyers are not going to be an easy game either. So let's get those points. Let's go Rangers. Have a good night. Be safe. Enjoy the turkey. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody.